Hi, welcome back to JNP Project YouTube channel and podcast. I'm the host, Miki Miura. I'm a family nurse practitioner in Hawaii, USA. In this channel, we're going to go over everything about how to become a nurse practitioner in the USA, how to build an amazing nurse practitioner career that actualize amazing work and life balance. Before we're going to get into today's topic, which is which state is the best state for nurse practitioners, just want to introduce the new boot camp for international nurses. So it's called International Nurse to Nurse Practitioner USA Boot Camp. This program is to prepare international nurses before they enter nurse practitioner program in the US. So that they can excel in their programs and have a jump start in the nurse practitioner training. This is going to be a 6-month program. It's going to be all online, and participants will have lifetime access to the online lessons. It will come with the workbook, and then also we're going to have 6 monthly live group meeting online so that we can discuss your concern and questions. And you also have access to exclusive Facebook page, group page, so that you can connect with your peers and then to exchange informations and cheer up each other. This is going to be so wonderful, and the seating is limited. The final registration ends on June 30th, so you have very limited time, but I'm hoping that you're going to make it, because the next term will start not until next year. So, and like I said, you're going to have a lifetime access to online courses. So might as well just start now, because that means you have longer access than waiting for another 6 months, 1 year, who knows. This is a great opportunity for you to actualize your dream. What you will learn in this program, including tips to become successful professional, especially in the US, how to master English efficiently, and how to choose and get accepted by a nurse practitioner program that fits your personal goals, and basics of American nursing, and basics of American healthcare system, because everything about insurance and medical home and stuff like that. All those things are expected to know before you enter nurse practitioner program. Whether you are from America or from other countries, once you enter nurse practitioner program, it doesn't matter for them. You know, they don't say, oh, you're international or you're from other countries. Of course, you don't know American nursing or healthcare system here, so we will give you a better grade just because you're not born here and stuff like that. They don't treat you differently. So once you enter nurse practitioners, you don't want to be behind just because you don't have these knowledges. This program will boost your confidence. So by the time you graduate from nurse practitioner program, you're going to be one of the top students. And that will lead you to get wonderful nurse practitioner jobs and get green card or work visa, so you can stay in America and then continue to practice and help people in America for their health needs. Like I said, the final registration ends on June 30th. So we are, the time is limited. Make sure to get in. Again, next cohort won't be open until next year. For more information, please go to usa.jnpproject.com. Again, usa.jnpproject.com. All right, let's get into today's topic. Okay, so today's topic is which state is the best state for nurse practitioners. As you guys know, United States has multiple states. And America is so big, so that the laws are different, depends on which state you are living in, which state you are practicing. So it's very important to decide which state you want to work in. If you are considering getting into nurse practitioner program, in the future or maybe near future, I would recommend to go to the state, go to a nurse practitioner program in the same state that you want to stay in. Because you built connections, very important connections when you're in the program. When you do the clinical training, they could be your potential future employer. Or, maybe they're not hiring nurse practitioner, but maybe their friends are looking for nurse practitioner. Matter of fact, my first job, how I got my first job, I had multiple job offers when I graduated from nurse practitioner program. But I ended up choosing this job. And the job was, how I got the job is I did a clinical rotation with OB/GYN physician. And then after I finished, I talked to her and said, hey, thank you so much for helping me to graduate. I appreciate all the teaching. And then, obviously she was watching how I work, my work ethic. And she thought that I'm a good nurse practitioner. I'm going to be a good nurse practitioner. So she said, okay, well, I'm going to help you to find a job, and then I'm going to ask around and see if any of my colleagues are looking for nurse practitioners. And I thought at the time, I thought that she's just being nice and being social. So I thought like, oh, that's so great. Thank you so much. But I was just so happy that, I met her, she taught me and everything, but I didn't expect that she's going to actually, ask around and see who can, hire me. But she actually did. She emailed around her colleagues, and one of her colleague, OB/GYN physician, contacted me and said, hey, we're looking for a nurse practitioner. And that's how I got a job. So connection within the community that we want to live in is really important. And how you built this connection is, a lot of times through the nurse practitioner during the nurse practitioner program, especially if you are international student, you're coming from different country, you don't have connection within the community because you're new to that community. How you built this connection that is very important for job, hunting is, you built that through during the nurse practitioner program. So you should go to the nurse practitioner program in the state that you want to work, or in the community that you want to end up living. You want to end up living, so that you can start building a connection when you're in the nurse practitioner program. So it's very important to consider, okay, where should I go as a nurse practitioner, even before you are applying for a nurse practitioner program, because that kind of determine, where, how, where you're going to get a job and stuff like that. You could apply for nurse practitioner, APRN license in different states, and you can have multiple license you can have multiple licenses in multiple states, but and you can transfer, but it might be a little bit harder because think about this, because from employer, you would like to hire somebody that very well, or somebody who knows that person really, really well. So for my case, my employer knew my preceptor, and my preceptor recommended me. So, my employer trusted this recommendation of me. because she trusted her colleague, which it was my preceptor. Also, especially this is like really common in Hawaii, that people coming from different states, and everybody think, oh, Hawaii is wonderful, I would like to live, but then they come here and then faced with the reality that there's a lot of cultural difference and stuff like that, and they don't stay in Hawaii too long and they move out to different state. So people tend to hire people from within the state because they know that those people know this culture, they know that they like to live in Hawaii for a long time, so that they're likely to stay. It's not necessarily the case all the time, but I think the tendency is people like to hire somebody, nurse practitioner, who know the culture within the community, and then who've been living here, so they know how it is to live in Hawaii or in that state, and who has connection within their communities, so that their skills and work ethics are ensured. So again, very, very important to consider which state you want to live in or you want to work as a nurse practitioner before you enter nurse practitioner program. Anyway, so big question is, okay, so which state is the best state for nurse practitioners? There are 4 aspects that you should think about, which is cost of living, nurse practitioner regulation, safety, and job outlook. So let's talk about the first aspect, which is cost of living. Some states are more expensive to live in than others. For example, according to, I'm going to put this link about this article, but according to an article in Baker's ASC review, the average hourly wage of nurse practitioner in the U.S. was $56.75. This is for the average for United States overall. And then in Hawaii, the average hourly wage was $61.29. So it's like $5 more than the U.S. average. So that sounds good, huh? But because cost of living in Hawaii is so high, it's 189.9% of the average. So it's almost like close to double of the average cost of living. So we are actually the worst state for nurse practitioner pay in terms of cost of living. And then, so, even though wage is high, you're higher than the average, but because cost of living is so high, in terms of cost effectiveness for nurse practitioners, we're actually the worst 50th worst state in the United States. For people who don't live in Hawaii, who don't know, like, okay, so how is it, what is how is the cost of living in Hawaii? So I'll give you the example. So for regular eggs, like 12 eggs, regular, it's not organic, will cost at least like $7 in Hawaii, or $7.99. And then plate lunch, which is very popular in Hawaii. It's like a takeout lunch box. It used to be like less than, $7, $6, and it was like, really big. Nowadays, it's not that big. And also the average, I think it will cost like $15, and that's normal, unfortunately, nowadays. So that's it shows how really expensive to live in Hawaii. By the way, the top states for nurse practitioner pay adjusted by cost of living. So not only to compare the wage, but also like cost of living. So kind of adjust it. The top state for nurse practitioners pay adjusted by cost of living is Iowa, Oklahoma, Illinois, Mississippi, and Minnesota are the 5 top states. And then for states that are popular for, often popular for international students like Washington, California, New York. So Washington State was like, Seattle and stuff like that, 27th state. And then California was 36, 36th. So, and then the New York is almost on the bottom, 45th state. So that's cost of living. But that's not the only aspect you should think about. The second aspect you should think about is nurse practitioner regulation. So regulation means pretty much law, rules. So there are different regulations regarding nurse practitioners, APRN, the advanced practice registered nurse. It depends on which state you are practicing as a nurse practitioner. Some states allow nurse practitioners to practice independently. Nurse practitioner can open their own business as well. That's including Hawaii. But some other states have restrictions. Some states allow nurse practitioners to practice independently eventually, but then they have to go through multiple process to get to that point. So as a new grad, nurse practitioner cannot practice independently right away. Some states restrict, and then some states don't allow nurse practitioner to be independent at all, regardless of how many years you work, how many hours you work as a nurse practitioner. So depends on where you end practice as a nurse practitioner. It depends, like in Hawaii, you can practice on your own. You don't have to collaborate with physicians. You can, but you don't have to. And then you can own your own business. You can start your own practice, but some other states don't allow you to do that. And then some other states, mandate you to have a supervision by physician. So that's one thing you should consider, especially if you're thinking about, opening your own practice as a nurse practitioner. That is very, very important aspect to consider. But having restriction doesn't necessarily mean that it is all bad. I know California nurse practitioners have to have a supervision by physicians, but some of the nurse practitioners said the restriction is not too bad. They don't mind. So maybe it's not all bad. Having restriction might not be all bad unless you want to open your own practice. And then maybe you shouldn't go to California or those states who don't allow you to practice independently. But I would recommend to talk to nurse practitioners in the community or in the state that you want to live in, so in reality how it is to work in the state. Because if you ask me, okay, so how is it to work as a nurse practitioner in Iowa? I have no clue because I never practiced in Iowa. Each state has completely different rules and stuff like that. They might have similar, but it keeps changing too. I'm actually a community member for APRN policy group in Hawaii. So we always, we have a meeting monthly, bi-monthly. We discuss about regulation, about APRN practice. And the laws are changing, and we try to change too, so that we can serve a community better. So, it's impossible for us to know all the regulations across the United States because each state has different regulations and laws, and it keeps changing. So the best is actually talk to nurse practitioners in the states that you want to work in the future, and then ask about the reality of, hey, how is it to work as a nurse practitioner? So that's nurse practitioner regulation. Third aspect to consider is safety. I mean, this is not just for nurse practitioners, but especially for international students, you might not be familiar with the safety issue in the United States. So definitely I want you to be aware that this is something you really need to consider. I'm originally from Japan. Japan is pretty safe country. So, I didn't, when I came to America, I didn't really consider this too much. But living in America, you see the news about gun violence, rape, racism, all the time. So, and especially, as an international student, you might not have family here. You might not have too many friends. So the safety is really, really important. Racism, gun violence, different things to think about. The U.S. News and World Report reported, I'm going to put the link about this article as well down below if you're watching YouTube. But Maine, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Vermont, and Idaho are the top 5 safest states in the United States. Interestingly, or maybe not surprisingly, Hawaii was 29th safest state. So we're kind of in the middle, which is like maybe, when people think about Hawaii, people think about beach and stuff like that. But in the reality, gun violence is pretty frequent because there are a lot of people who are addicted to, drugs, and a lot of people who suffer from mental illness and things like that. Poverty, people may not have enough money, and they might engage in crimes. So I can see that maybe Hawaii is not the most safest, unfortunately. But you might not know this if you are especially from other country, or even if you are from America, you might not know this. So this is very important to research instead of just coming here thinking that everything's going to be safe and everything's going to be good, and then you get attacked or you get involved with those crimes, and then you are, so miserable kind of thing. Another article mentioned, I don't know if I'm gonna, I believe in this article, but another article mentioned that Boston, New York City, San Francisco, and Chicago as the safest cities for international students. I couldn't find too many articles talking about the safest cities for particularly international students, but it's kind of interesting because when I think of Chicago, I don't really think that it's safe. I would think that it's one of the dangerous cities. But, again, because I'm not there, maybe I don't know the actuality. So it's one of the articles that's saying that. But, and there are some like hate crimes, like anti-Asians and stuff like that. So very important for international students, especially, to know, to get information about the safety. Especially, you're probably going to come to the United States alone, or maybe with your small family, but not the whole gang of the family. So your support system is limited. So very, very important to consider the safety. How you get these information? You can talk to international student services at universities that you're applying to and get more information. I think that would be the best, because there are so many articles on the internet, but these days we don't know which articles or information to trust. Fourth aspect would be job outlook. A good job outlook means that you have more job opportunities. So job outlook meaning like job growth. How many jobs will be available in the next 10 years, 5 years, and so on. So it's not only good for financial security, but you maybe also get a better work conditions. Like maybe you have more time, PTO or paid time leave, or you may have better retirement plan or insurance, and so on. So because if there are a lot of jobs available, employers are really desperate to find a nurse practitioner. They're fighting over a nurse practitioner. So as a nurse practitioner, we can say, well, which one should we pick? So we can say, well, I really want to work with you, but then, the other job is offering me this. Maybe could you match the benefit so that then I will take your job. So you can negotiate with your employers. If you live in a good job outlook. So, very important to consider. Especially this is important for international students because you need to find an employer who can support, work visa or support you to get a work visa or permanent residency as soon as you graduate from nurse practitioner program. And if there are not much jobs available, then, maybe employers may not be that desperate, and maybe they pick American nurse practitioners. But if they have less supply of nurse practitioners in the community, and then more jobs available, employers are desperate to find nurse practitioners, and you have more chance to find a job, find an employer who can help you to get a work visa and permanent residency because they really want to find nurse practitioner. There is an article about nurse practitioner job outlook by state, and I'm gonna put the link in the comment section for YouTube subscribers or if you're watching YouTube. But this article was written by pediatric nurse practitioner Andrea Mosher, and in the article it says the top 5 states that have best job outlook are Arizona, Colorado, Georgia, New York, and Florida. I'm sorry. Florida is a little bit difficult for a Japanese-speaking person. Okay, so Arizona, Colorado, Georgia, New York, and Florida. The highest increase in demand for nurse practitioner. So these states has highest increase in demand for nurse practitioners. So meaning that there will be a lot of jobs available for nurse practitioners, or a lot of jobs will be available when you graduate from nurse practitioner programs in these states. California was the 16th state, and Hawaii was 35th state. And it says that we're going to have 123.81% growth in the future. So we discussed about the 4 aspects: cost of living, regulation, safety, and job outlook. But final thoughts would be all these factors are important. I think I want you to really think about which state you should move to, which nurse practitioner in which state, and which nurse practitioner program in which state you want to go to. You should consider all those factors. But at the end of the day, you can just follow your heart and then decide what's really important for you. For me, I really wanted to move to Hawaii. I didn't think of any other state but Hawaii. I really wanted to move to Hawaii for multiple reasons. But I wanted to move to Hawaii. I couldn't think of any other state. So for me, cost of living is worse, which I didn't know. But, I kind of knew. I didn't know that it's the worst. But for me, moving to Hawaii was, was solid. It's non-negotiable. So for me, that was my happiness. And, I think you should really think about what's important for you. For me, as long as I can live comfortably, that was fine. Maybe, it's not cost effective for nurse practitioners to live in Hawaii. But, I can surf. We have beaches. The weather is the best. People are, super nice. Food is good. We have a lot of different food, Hawaiian food, Japanese food, American food, different food. I have people that I love in Hawaii, and for me, my happiness was the most important factor. So I chose Hawaii, and I'm glad that I chose Hawaii. Although Hawaii wasn't the most, didn't have the highest job, outlook. But good news is, in general, in the United States, job outlook for nurse practitioners across the United States is, high. So although it depends on the state, the demand is some state is higher than the other. In general, there will be a lot of jobs available for nurse practitioners, at least within the next 10 years. So I don't think you're going to have a lot of struggle to find a job as a nurse practitioner, because everywhere they have a high need for nurse practitioners, unless you have very particular, I only want to do this, and then particular criteria for a job. I think you're not gonna have a difficulty of finding a job. So that's a great thing. Other things, safety, cost of living, job out, and nurse practitioner regulation, you might want to consider. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's up to you. But just really think about what's really important for you. If money is important for you, maybe you shouldn't move to Hawaii. But, that's okay. Money is important too. Yes. So think about what makes you, what's important for you, what's makes you happy. But these 4 aspects, cost of living, nurse practitioner regulations, safety, and job outlook, are 4 aspects that you should consider when you think about which state you want to move as a nurse practitioner, or which nurse practitioner program in which state you want to apply to. All right, that's it for this episode. I hope this was helpful. I appreciate if you leave a comment if you're watching YouTube. And I really appreciate if you can leave a review if you listen to podcasts. I hope you're going to have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next episode. See you again. Aloha.